I work for an American institution, not a European institution, but I'm from Europe. But definitely there is a strong desire to understand what's going on in Latin America generally, in Brazil in particular. Aperture was part of the Latin American photo book project, which was an incredibly exciting thing. Making the book was very exciting, but really it revealed a history that most Americans, even when they were very knowledgeable about photography, they didn't know about. Even, I think, the Latin American crew who worked on the project didn't know things that were going on at the same time as in other countries. So to assemble that story was revealing to and exciting to everybody, I think, interested in the story of photography. I would have said no until the Latin American photo book, where I think there is a distinct set of aesthetic ideas. I was talking about this today. Is that the aesthetic ideas of the editors? Have they found that in the history of Latin American bookmaking? Or is that a dominant aesthetic thread that even though photographers in Argentina and Brazil and Chile, etc., had limited connection with each other, actually there was ideas were traveling between countries and people were responding to each other's ideas in book form? I don't know enough to answer that, but definitely the Latin American photo book, I think, proposes that there was a kind of singular, a distinct set of aesthetic principles that artists, photographers across Latin America had in common or pursued in common. There are many different ways for a publisher to work on a photo book. There are some books which we conceive at Aperture among the editors there, so they're not really artist books, they're editorial projects, they're looking at a subject or a field. There are some books, we have several editors, first of all, so that's important, with different tastes and different approaches, different personal styles. So there's always a kind of individual aspect to it. But there are some artists who have got a very clear idea of what they want, and we are there to help them bring their vision to life. Sometimes there's a body of work, and really the photographer's looking for an editor to bring a vision of a book that is more than just the body of the pictures. Well, 10 years ago, about 40 publishers in the world were gatekeepers to all the photography publishing that reached an audience. 40 publishers, maybe 400 books. The publisher was a very powerful character. And if you go back 25 years, there's probably only 15 publishers. Now we're in a completely different environment where anybody, literally anybody, can make their own book and promote it and reach a market for it. So I think the environment is radically different today than even 10 years ago. It's an incredibly exciting time for photo bookmaking. There's so much invention, there's so many new ideas, so many people participating. I do think there are probably tens of thousands of serious photo books being made each year now compared to 400 only 10 years ago. I mean, maybe a lot more than 400 were being made by an artist in their studio trying to get a publisher, but they never found a publisher that said yes. So now we're all photographers, we're all publishers, the gates are open. Texts you can deliver on any medium, a digital platform, but there's nothing to compare with the book as a physical object for art in general. I mean, we are making, with photographers are making works of art. These are the works of art. These are the book is the thing. It's more important than the exhibition in the end because the exhibition comes down. It's more important than what goes online because what goes online is fluid and changing, and the photographer cannot control anything. But the book is the final statement of a piece of work. People put so much work into the thing as an object. And in a world where uh, everything is, all information is easily available. What kind of things do you want to have? What kind of physical objects do you want to have? And I think that's where books fit in. I mean, books have to be exceptional objects, and the demand and interest in beautiful visual books about photography, about art, as well as artist books that are works of art in their own right, are in more demand than ever. Well, another thing, in the age of the internet, it's very difficult. Most things that we publish in the magazine have had some kind of life before we publish them. So that's not always the case. We like to be the first publisher of something, but it's the nature of the world. If a photographer is working for 2 years on a project, usually that work's been shown. It's been shown by their gallery while they're still working on it. Maybe they're posting pictures to their Facebook page. Who knows? I mean, there's so many ways that the images come out. Occasionally we can do something that's totally exclusive, and yeah, we like to. And we will turn things down where we think, well, that's been seen. Also, we'll talk to photographers and say, well, we want to do a feature on this piece of work. Are you planning on publishing it anywhere else? And they say, oh, I'm going to publish it in Fórum magazine and this other magazine. And we say, oh, well, we can't really do that, because personally, don't find the e-books very satisfying things. I don't know that, and they don't sell that well. For a novel, for a science book, a textbook, it's a different matter. But for visual books, to me, it just seems there's two choices. Everything on the internet, fantastic. The book as the special finished object. I think the interesting thing that you refer to is the nature of language. And I do think that the world we are becoming is one in which everybody speaks photography, speaks the language of photography. So in a way, I think the world is becoming one where a photograph is worth 0 words, because there are no words. They are just the photographs. It's like a language. They are words. Photographs are words. They're like words. They work in the same way. We use photographs every day, all the time, to communicate what's going on around us to our friends. Our photography is language. Yes, it is. It is the first true universal language. They tried Esperanto, but it didn't catch on.